right, so today in class we were talking about perfect squares and finding the square root of a number. So we started with a little bit of review, and we said that 3 squared equals 9, which means 3 times 3 equals 9. And we can also say that 8 squared, which is 8 times 8, equals 64. We can also flip that around, and we can say the square root of 9 equals 3, and the square root of 64 equals 8. So what that means is, when I think of the square root of a number, I want to know what number do I multiply by itself to get me back up to that number under the square root symbol. So think about all of the factors of 9. And the one that's doubled, like 3 times 3, would be the square root of 9. So on the board today we had all of this stuff. This section we don't need to worry about. But we need to think about our perfect... No, I made a mistake. That's wrong. I can't fix that. One moment, please. Technical difficulties. Bear with me. There we go. So this side we need. We don't need this side. And then we need this chart. So if I said to you, what is the square root of 484? And we're going to work on this without using a calculator. So the first thing you do is you come back to this chart and you think 484 is bigger than 100, 484 is bigger than 400, 484 is smaller than 900. So the square root of 484 lands between 400, or the square root of 400, and the square root of 900. So we're going to put those two numbers on a number line. Then think, 484 is pretty close to 400. So we're going to put a little mark there to tell us that that's about where 484 is. The next thing you have to think about, what is the square root of 400? If you're not sure, go back here. 20 squared is 400. So the square root of 400 is 20. Back to the chart. 30 squared is 900. So the square root of 900 is 30. So now we've narrowed it down. And we know that the square root of 484 has to be a number between 20 and 30, which means that the first digit has to be a 2. So we know that it's 20 something because it lands within that range between 20 and 30. To get the second digit, we look at the last digit here, which is a 4. And then we go back to our second chart. So if I want my last digit to be a 4, the only two numbers that I can square to give me a last digit of 4 is a 2 right here, or an 8 right here. Which means if we go back to our number line, the options are either 22 or 28. Look at your number line. Is 484 closer to 400 or closer to 900? Because it's closer to 900, sorry, I said that wrong. Because it's closer to 400, it makes sense that it would be 22. And then if you check with a calculator, square root of 484 does turn out to be 22. Let's look at one more. If I wanted to give you, or if I wanted you to calculate, the square root of 6,241. The first thing we do is look over here. and 6,241 lands between 4,900 and 6,400. So go back over here, draw yourself a number line. 4,900 and 6,400. The square root of 4,900 is 70, and the square root of 6,400 is 80. So that tells us that our first digit has to be a 7, because it's a number between 70 and 80. Then think, 6,241. That's pretty close to 6,400. So we're going to put our little mark there because we know that we're on that side of the number line. And then the last step to figure out what the last digit of our number is, we look at the 1 of 6,241 and we go over here. The last digit ends in 1. We're either going to square 1 or we're going to square 9. So now we know that our number has to be either 71 or 79. And if we look at our number line, it makes most sense that it is 79. So now we can say that the square root of 6,241 is 79. If you're still not sure, rewatch these two videos. This video, sorry. It might help you out a little bit in trying to figure these out. Otherwise, come talk to me in class as soon as you can.